Okay. Welcome to EdPerspectives. I'm Star Saxteen, and I'm here with Brad Curry. Say hi, Brad.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? I'm sorry I don't have a bottom third, but it says it's on, but it's not showing
They lie.
mine there. So Star has one, and I don't.
He's just a little jealous, but that's okay. There's something clearly wrong
We'll be
with
okay.
Google, but we'll be okay. So today we're going to be talking about building relationships in school communities. At this point in the year, it's really the most important thing, at least in my opinion. Um, with a lot of the mindset shifting that's going on in my school right now, the best thing I can do to ensure the success of that is really communicate with not just my students on a regular basis, get to know them really well, let them get to know me really well, but also communicate with parents and my colleagues wherever possible who share these students with me so that maybe, my fingers are crossed, we could actually communicate the same message, which would be awesome. But my fingers are crossed, but I'm not holding my breath. I might die if I did that. But so from your perspective, Brad, what I'm really curious about as an administrator is how do you smooth some of these edges out as we start to develop relationships at the end of the year? You have folks who have been in the building a long time, and then if there's new staff coming in, what do you do to start building the community back from the year before?
Yeah, that's it's easier said than done, and I think it goes you have to be visible. I think that's incredibly important, and you have to handle things in a timely manner. So if people have particularly newer people have issues or things that need to be resolved, you need to act on them in a timely fashion. And you start with that, with being visible, with having an open door, and looking at visibility. Like you're walking up and down the hallways, you're in the classrooms all the time, and you let people know that hey, you can, I'm approachable, and whatever help you need, I'll help you out. And if I can't help you out, we'll find somebody that can. I think that's important. I think it's important, particularly with your new staff members, that they are linked up with it with a mentor or somebody that they can lean on to ask the questions. Because there's a lot of things going on in a particular school day, and it may not be accessible at all times. So somebody needs to be there to answer those important questions, to acclimate the new staff member to the building. But basically, you keep it simple. You're approachable, you're visible, you're in and out of classrooms, you're helping people out. Looking at the students. I'm sure we'll talk about this in a little bit, but particularly in our building, we're 6, 7, 8. The sixth graders are anxious. Now they're finally starting to get into the groove. But just to help them out in any way possible. Our principal here, Bob Mullen, does an outstanding job of getting to know each and every student's name. And if he doesn't know their name, if he forgets it, he buys them an ice cream. So he quickly remembers kids' names. That's pretty good. I'm not as good as Bob is, but I'm trying. But it comes back to accessibility, approachability, visibility. Those three are very important.
I think the same goes in a classroom too, and actually within the first week of school, it is always my goal to know every kid in my classroom. It's definitely by the Friday of the first week, I really do like to know every kid, and I force them to let me guess before they sort of start helping me out. And then when I return to school the following week, it's really important for them to know that I haven't forgotten who they are, and I'm starting to develop like a little profile in my head as to who they are, and each little bit of information that I get helps to develop that better so that I could better help them. I'm doing a lot of things different this year, which is a little scary and exciting at the same time. This is my 13th year teaching, and I do a lot of things really well that I felt like it was time for to really start taking these major leaps. And I've asked the kids to be my partners in this journey, since I don't know that every choice I'm going to make is going to actually work out the way that I want it to. So the same way they would like me to be patient with them, and the same way you said visible, I need to make myself as available as possible and as honest with them as possible about how things are going. Which kind of leads me to the extended relationships with their parents. Last week was back to school night, and as a 12th grade English teacher, it is the saddest night of the year. I had one parent show up from my 12th graders. I had three parents from my ninth graders. And the middle school, because we're 6 to 12, they are overrun with parents. Parents just show up all the time for their middle school students. But once they get to be in 11th and 12th grade, it's like mom and dad know the school, they know the drill, they don't think it's important to show up. I want to disagree with that message. I mean, I understand that a lot of folks are busy, and I'm by no means putting folks down, because I couldn't go to my son's back to school because I had to be at my school's back to school. But I did reach out to the teacher beforehand to let her know what was going on, and what I felt I would do to remedy this year is start a little mini-series, videos, like 1 to 2 minute videos, talking to parents that I was going to send out and start up my own YouTube channel so that kids could share with their parents what we're doing in class. I also started a hashtag for each of my classes, and we are sharing everything all the time. And I think the kids are liking it. What about, I mean, how would you engage with teachers who are taking these risks? One of my biggest fears right now is that I'm trying to help these kids understand that achievement, like we talked about not too long ago, isn't about grades. It's about standards, and it's about growth and actual learning, and not just focusing on a grade. And when I tell them that they're not going to get homework in my space and that they're not going to get grades, they seem relieved, some of them. And then, you know, they're coming from and going to other classes that give them the complete opposite message that I'm sending them. So as an administrator, while I'm trying to build these relationships, how would you suggest I go about helping my colleagues at least adjust so that we aren't sending conflicting messages?
Yeah, it's great to hear that you're doing all those neat things to be transparent and to connect with you know, stakeholders, particularly parents in the virtual world. You know, it was visiting classrooms. The first.
I think you wrote a book about that, right?
Yeah, I think so. All hands on deck, but I don't want to, you know, keep quoting that. Yeah, it was great to see our staff the first few weeks of school connect with students and get to know them. It was more about relationships, which is what I'm hearing from you, rather than content. First couple weeks of school, and I think that's incredibly important. You know, whether you look at the work of Harry Wong and people like that, getting to know the students is incredibly important. So I was very proud to see that take place here in our school, and it's great to see all the things you're doing, kind of outside the box things there, particularly with the older kids. But parents appreciate that, you know. And again, it comes back to the support of administration. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see in the physical sense, but also in the virtual sense. You know, you have staff members using hashtags like yourself throughout the country. I know my son's third grade teacher is using a Twitter handle every once in a while, tweeting out stuff about what's going on in class, assignments, and things along those lines. You know, we appreciate that sort of thing. Both from a parent perspective and from a school perspective. You know, one of the things I'm doing to connect with people more and to be informative and transparent is using the Remind app to push out content. People appreciate that. On back to school night last week, there must have been 20, 25 people that came up to me, hey, Mr. Curry, thanks a lot for sending out that information. And that kind of builds a relationship there. And we, you know, from that comment on, we were able to have a conversation about their child, about what's going on at Black River Middle School, and I'm looking forward to tonight where we will have an information night for parents, and I'm holding a session on communicating and how our school communicates with stakeholders and how they can communicate with us. You know, having that open dialogue. So I think those sorts of things, you know, reaffirms or affirms the you know, relationship that you have with your parents, with your stakeholders, knowing that you're here for their child, and I think the more they know about what's going on in your classes, and the more that teachers know that you have your back or their backs when you're trying to be innovative, I think it's better for everybody, and it goes back to helping kids out be successful. So those are my thoughts on that. Star?
I think that it's so awesome, some of the things that you do, and you certainly, from my perspective, definitely help me understand from the teacher perspective some of the stuff that you guys have to do that we don't necessarily have to deal with. I'm starting to get more and more involved with some of the upper level stuff that's going on at my school, just in my involvement with the PD planning and trying to really help my colleagues kind of take the risks that I'm taking. And I'm not necessarily going to be 100% successful with everything. I will be 100% successful in trying. How those outcomes end up are it remains to be seen. But I think it's a really great opportunity for my students to see that I don't know everything and everything won't work out well, but I'm not going to die because it didn't work out well, and no one's going to think I'm stupid if it doesn't happen either. And I think that that's a part of building the relationship with our kids, as well as being vulnerable and really allowing ourselves to be learners with them. And I think that that goes with parents as well, opening up the communication and really trying to be in their position when they're coming to us as well, and not be so defensive. Sometimes I think it's easy to get defensive. I see that it's about out of time for our little session here, but I wanted to give a shout out about our Edscape presentation that's coming up on October 18th. Really looking forward to an in-person, live EdPerspectives that I'm hoping folks will join us for.
Absolutely, Star. And I think, the last 10, 15 minutes has been great. I think, if anything, when it comes to relationships, takeaways here from today's EdPerspectives episode is, number one, embrace, risk-taking, particularly when building relationships, in terms of how you build those relationships both in the virtual world and in the physical sense. Know that administration relishes this sort of thing. The stuff, well, some administration does, with the hashtags and the YouTube channels and using technology to leverage those relationships. But that technology doesn't work unless you build those relationships in the physical sense. And when students and staff and parents know that you have their best interests at heart, the rest will take care of itself. So definitely a great EdPerspectives episode, episode 5 here with Star and myself, looking at relationships. I would imagine this will be our last episode until we get to Edscape in October, but if not, we'll definitely see you very soon. And we will post this live on our YouTube channel and blog about it, and we hope you enjoy this episode of EdPerspectives with Star Saxton. I'm Brad Curry. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Have a great night.